So Sandbox has been getting even more crazier updates, but as of today, we've gotten a massive change in terms of Sandbox and some other areas. Now, to catch you more up to speed about what's been going on as of recently in terms of some other changes, before we get into these new changes, the Steam Workshop integration for Sandbox has been implemented specifically for cosmetics, and I have a whole video talking about that right here, which you should definitely go and watch because it's very, very interesting and probably beneficial for a lot of you that like the idea of creating either clothing or cosmetics for games and getting paid to actually do that and possibly make a living off of it. We also have some other changes with Movie Maker, which is essentially Source Filmmaker, but more implemented into Sandbox. But Movie Maker is making a return with new splining and motion editor tweaks for in-game cinematics and animation, which is really, really awesome because the entire point of Movie Maker was to implement everything that Source Filmmaker was and kind of just slam it right into the Sandbox editor. And as you see here on screen, a lot of the splining and little tweaks that you can do is going to be implemented, which is very, very awesome. And some more changes that we have seen recently is improvements to the standalone exporter, which allows you, the game developer who is creating their game on Sandbox, to then be able to take that game from Sandbox and export it as a full standalone game, which you can then utilize pretty much on Steam or other platforms. Now, there really isn't too much information about that specifically, but most likely we'll learn more information as we go through. But it seems like it is done, it's in the game, it's just currently disabled as you aren't able to fully export everything at the moment from what I've gotten. But that leads us to the new changes that we have going on, which we're going to get into right now. And that is with the Sandbox website itself. Now, I am logged into the Sandbox game website. And of course, once you do that, when you use your Steam account, because that's what you have to use. So let's go to the dashboard. Now, this will be the first thing you actually see when you log into sandbox.game, which is the dashboard, and the dashboard has pretty much everything. Now, this has been completely changed where at least on the left side, we have more information, which we'll get into in a minute. Everything on the right side, which is the achievement progress and the games that you've played or the feed, including many people, as you can see, people that I'm friends with who also have Sandbox and what they've done if they've played this game for the first time or whatever it is. Most of that stuff will be on the feed. The community news post, which is updates specifically about the games that are currently out on Sandbox, is really cool. And also the Sandbox news, which is the blog post. Now, this is really cool, but let's get more into this left side over here, as you can see. Now, there's a bunch of different things here, but most importantly, is really cool to see that we have all the packages. Now, for most people that wonder when it comes to Sandbox, is Sandbox ever going to utilize the Steam Workshop? Well, Face Punch and Gary decided they were going to go out of the way to do this, which is Acid.Party. Now, this has everything, all your models, depending on what type of category you're looking for, if it's an animal, if it's cars, furniture, whatever. You have that, you have materials, you have the games downs, libraries, prefabs, whatever it is. Most of the Steam Workshop stuff, every single little thing you will be able to find will be here, which is right in your dashboard. And that's really awesome. And then you have the Discover, the Jams tab, which you can see all the previous jams. Discover, like I said, is where you can go and check out all the games, which of course, if you are logged in your computer and you click on one, it will launch Sandbox and then launch you put you directly into the game. Let's get into the more interesting stuff because of course we got documentation and API, which we'll get into in a minute, but let's just go to my organization. I did create this organization. We're not going to get much more into it, but this is the one thing that I've been seeing updates about all the time, and that is the new monetization page. Now, I will say this. This is the only thing that we see from this page. All these other different little tabs that are here, like transactions, payments, settings, I'm not able to click or even access them. And most likely it's because these pages will eventually get updated over time. But we have a monetization page, which is really, really cool. And again, you're only able to access this if you are part of an organization or group, which you can create yourself. On this page, it says and shows the estimated earnings. And it also has right here, the final value might fluctuate after we fully process all the data. Now, I don't know much more other information that this is going to be providing in terms of, like I mentioned, revenue and how the payouts are going to be if you have to hit a certain threshold in terms of, good example, kind of like how YouTube revenue has it, where if you hit $100, they will pay you out. On this side of the page, you can see the transactions in terms of where you're selling different things. For right now, as what I mentioned earlier in the video, regardless, this is just for the people who either create things or want to make money and earn things. Understand, we're slowly but surely starting to get there with learning more about this here. Moving on to documentation, it's very simple and straightforward. We have, again, the uniform change to the page. It looks really nice. Everything on the left-hand side that's here, you can go and click on, and it'll provide you more information about what it is you're trying to do in a game in terms of making one on S&box. And it's really nice, very clean, very simple, straightforward. And the same thing with the API reference, which is for API documentation and all that other good information that is right there. So absolutely wonderful, wonderful sort of new updates that we have going on with the website. Now, there's still so much more that we need to, get answers on in terms of all of this stuff. Monetization has definitely been one of those things, but it's really cool to see that this page is up and running. Honestly, with all of this happening, we're getting there. We're seeing so much more progress with S&box in terms of these little things. And I know some people have been waiting on this game for quite a long time or have completely decided to just lose interest, but I'm still going to keep updating on this game because, of course, it's getting very interesting little by little, and I'm providing that for you guys. So, of course, if you really do enjoy the content, feel free to check out my other videos too. But if you really, really want to know more about S&box, feel free to check out this video here that talks more about what I mentioned in today's video, which was about the cosmetics and how you can possibly make a living with creating digital cosmetics for S&box. And I'll see you guys next time.